Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. We have a special guest. We got a good show here for you today, folks. Joining us on the show this week, Mr. Dave Wiggins, head coach, Webster Groves High School Baseball, recruits baseball. Dave, good to see you, buddy.
Great to see you guys. Always a pleasure being on.
Absolutely. We had a great game with him, too, with although you probably didn't like the outcome of that game. But we enjoyed the Friday Night Lights with Webster Groves, Kirkwood. That was fun. It was fun. I know it wasn't your outcome.
It was a blast.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't like the outcome, but that's just it's my favorite game of the year. Win, lose, it matters, obviously. But just the excitement, and no matter how good or bad both teams are in a given year, it's a competitive game. There might be a little bit too much trash talking, but for the most part, we keep it pretty civil.
Do you? I was there. But, me as a fiery dude myself with the red hair, the soulless one over here, I loved the energy. And I'm 43 and experiencing their football rivalry back then, I didn't really realize it had transferred to other sports, into basketball, into baseball, into softball. And that was my first experience of watching them go at each other in baseball. Then, of course, I talked to Mulder, and I talked to guys like, some of the other guys out there that played in Kirkwood Legion back in the day. There's always been that rivalry.
Those are fun.
Always. I actually played Kirkwood Legion growing up, and one year I was the only Webster dude on the team, full of Kirkwood and Valley Park guys, and I don't think I fit in very well.
That's why you got sent to the bullpen.
That's right. We're like, we're going to send that little lefty to the pen and keep him away from all us Kirkwood folk.
Yeah, that and binoculars.
Oh, man. Dave is joining us via the Prime Sports Midwest call-in link. Make sure it's going to be a lot of fun. 2 weeks from this last Saturday, October 14th, out at Prime Sports Midwest, we got Bat Demo Day. You guys are going to be out there, aren't you, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. Our relationship and business with Prime Sports couldn't be going better. Rick and team and our rep Jeff and his assistant Crystal, they do a fantastic job, and we couldn't be happier with our relationship with those guys.
Very good. It's fun. We're going to be out there. Stop by. We're getting ready for the big to-do. We're going to be out there doing some live stuff. We're going to be out talking to the kids after they're swinging the bats, get some props. Not to mention next week, though, next Tuesday, make sure you tune in because Mitch and we got Rick coming in. He's bringing some bats. We're going to take a look at some of the bats we're going to be demoing out there. So next Tuesday is going to be fun. Yeah,
I'm hoping that he brings I don't know what that new Cat 10 is. It's the black two-piece composite. I guess it's just kind of new. I hope that gets brought with him. So, Rick, if you're listening and you have one, bring it with you. I want to put it in my hands because I'm a big Marucci guy. I like the one-piece aluminum, I guess, if you will. So I'm excited to actually have this and see it. It just looks cool. I'm not a big Raiders guy, but the black and silver, that black and gray looks pretty cool. It's kind of like the navy and red and white uniforms. I think it's a classic look.
They had that old Justin had one, the Marucci black. It was that black one. It was nice. He had that like his freshman year or whatnot. It was a pretty nice bat. I like Marucci. I think they do. And you're right. You shouldn't call it aluminum. And I was listening to Rick. Every time he talks about him, he just calls them BB core.
Yeah, that's probably the way to go. You got alloy, you got composite. Yeah.
I don't think there's any aluminum in it anymore at all.
I'm not sure. I just I love Bat Brothers, and there's they get to swing in that 30, the -5s back when I got to play. They were swinging a 33-28 and hitting balls like 500 feet, and I was just like, man, the days of swinging that thing. I still have a C-Core, Easton C-Core. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that bat or not. Yeah. But, man, I'm telling you, you can hit them things miles.
Wow.
the red line, the Z Core. Oh, those
Yeah.
things were hot.
These kids have no idea how to swing these BB core stuff, man. I don't like BB core bats. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather have them swing wood. I mean, I know what the purpose of BB core is, but
honestly, man, I think the technology's caught up. They dumbed them
I couldn't
down.
agree more.
The technology is caught up because the ball's jumping
hot
off
again.
these bats.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't swing
They're hot
anymore.
again, for
I
sure.
sit in a dugout on a bucket, so I take 5 swings. I'm out for 2.5 weeks.
Because I think that's true of any technology. They will eventually catch up. And there you go, because that's the name of the game. You got a 10-year-old that's, 65 pounds. I mean, he wants to hit the ball out of the infield.
Oh, some of those USSSA bats are insane. Like the new Icon. Oh, that thing has serious juice. I mean, maybe even more so than the Hype Fire. I mean, watching these little dudes swing this bat and hit balls 270, 280. It's like, what is going on?
Do you swing often, Dave? I know that you're a big pitching guy. So do you grip a bat and take some BP every now and then?
I'm a fungo guy, man. I love to hit my fungos, but it's been a while since I've grabbed a BB core bat and attempted to swing it. I'm kind of like you. I take a couple hacks and I put some good intent into it, and then my back starts to light up. My knee gets a little sore, and I'm like, why'd I do this?
Yep.
So much rather sit on a bucket.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
a
swing
story
like that.
of-
I'm gonna do it on the golf course, baby.
It's the story of our lives as guys, but former baseball
Yeah.
players. You put 5 minutes in, and then you're toast for a week.
We're good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's 100%. I got to ask, though, because he said he's a big fungo guy. So I'm assuming he's a lefty fungo hitter, being a left-hander. What is your favorite fungo brand
Oh man,
and size?
it fluctuates. Jacob Walters with Jaw Bats, he made me a custom fungo years ago that I absolutely loved. I have an issue where my fungos break, whether that's because I hit it off the end or things aren't going well and I see a nearby pole. But
I like it. That's my kind of guy.
I like a 37-inch. I like a longer fungo. I like the leverage I can get. I take pride in my high fly balls, making sure my outfielders can track those. I just, I've had to swing the shorter fungo, and I'm just not a fan. So I don't really care about the brand, to be honest. As long as I've got some length and I can whip that sucker around, it's a good time.
So it's all about feel for you. I guess like anything else with this sport, I guess feel's got to be there. I swing the SSK. I love their fungo.
Okay. Yep.
I actually like a 35 fungo. We had won a fungo in a Game 7 event, and I think it's made by Dinger. And that has been a really good fungo for me.
I like to find the ones where they got the hole drilled into the top.
Oh, that's the old Rawlings.
Yeah, because my brother-in-law showed me this, and I would take and just fill it with cork and cover and glue the top, and you don't have to swing that hard, man. Just boo, boo, and
those things whistle when you swing them too. It's like whoop, whoop.
A corked fungo bat.
Absolutely, baby.
I'm in.
You like that?
Well, I think it's funny. I love it. I just imagine how high, because I like, David said there, hitting the ball. I love hitting major league fly balls and seeing how long it takes these kids and how bad of routes they take, or the wind's blowing, they have to run 30 feet this direction because they misread a ball that high. I'm just imagining how high I can hit one with corks in there. And my significant other is a wine drinker, and I have one of those old Rawlings bats, so I'm thinking corks are going in there.
Absolutely, Brew.
I'm gonna try it.
Give it a
I
shot.
wonder how far I can hit them.
We're gonna try it. We should. I've wanted to do that for a while, Dave. Is go around like to the different some different parks and grab some fungo and have a fungo hitting contest with coaches.
Oh,
and
I'm
stuff.
in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
That'd be a blast.
That'd
You could
be
do
fun.
distance. You could do accuracy. You could do all kinds of stuff with it.
I still have a metal. I still have a metal one.
Oh,
That's a 36, and so we want to let some eat. We can eat.
Oh, those metal ones are so much fun.
Yeah, I think I took it from my alma mater in Rittner back in like 2000. That's how old that metal is.
Oh man, we're
Oh
gonna have
yeah.
to do
It's
Well,
that.
gonna fly.
being a
Sorry to all
pitcher
those
in college,
Huskies.
I became pretty adept to fungo golf. Before
Oh yeah,
before games. That's a good
That's
time
how they
absolutely.
too.
got their exercise in.
Fungo golf. Absolutely. So we're going to segue from fungo golf to recruiting. How about that?
Sweet,
So
sounds good.
if you're a pitcher, make sure you get up on your fungo golf for college. So
You gotta have something to do.
Absolutely.
Something to do.
exactly. So I want to get your thoughts on the new rule change with the age difference. Now, I mean, because Dave, you're dealing with, if people don't know, Dave coaches at the youth level. It's high school, but I mean, you do a little of both. But your team right now, this last year, what 15U, correct?
Yeah, they were 15U this summer. Yep.
And also the head coach at Webster Groves High School. Recruiting, you're in it all the time. What do you think that's going to change? And I mean, nothing. We're still probably a year or two away from seeing how this really affects everything. But with the rule changes where they can't contact kids until what was it, junior year, and it's a particular. I
Yeah.
think it was August, right?
August 1st going into junior year. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think that changes everything?
Ultimately, I like it because it eliminates the 7th and 8th grade early commits. Um, I think it's a little tough on the kids, especially if they want to be if they want to establish a relationship with that staff or that coach. It's really really hard for them to do until going into their junior year. They can't really have conversations with them, unless they go to the camp. That's why I think going to these camps is going to become far more important for these kids in terms of recruiting. Just to get in front of the staff, be able to have a conversation with the staff, show the staff what they can do. I'm in a unique situation with one of our kids, Nolan Sissom, committed to Missouri before this rule, and he wanted to remain a Missouri commit even though the staff had changed, and he had no relationship. He didn't know Coach Jackson or anyone from his staff, and we're kind of sitting here like, okay, how do they reach out to you? How do you reach out to them without breaking rules? So it came down to him having to go to one of their camps, getting in front of the staff, finally getting to meet them, establish a relationship. So for those kids that committed early on, um, and were having conversations weekly with these coaches, that's completely stopped for them.
Oh
So I
wow.
think that was a little difficult for them because I think one of the big draws to committing early was being able to establish a relationship with that coach, being able to talk to him, on a weekly basis, um, kind of growing that relationship throughout high school. And that's something that those boys no longer have. Andon Hyde committed to Xavier. Same thing with he and his coach Billy O'Connor. They would talk weekly before those rules, and now they've ceased all communication. So it's kind of interesting and weird, um, for the kid and the coach because they're used to talking each week, and they want to establish that relationship. And as much as that kid wants to build that relationship with the coach, I think the coach wants to keep that relationship strong with the kid as well because these kids, they can change their minds at the drop of a hat. The coaches can change their minds. Um, so you're not going to have that early on, but it does eliminate the committing 35 20 28s. Some of these big schools doing that, and it's more of, okay, this kid's really really good as a 13-year-old. Yeah, sure, in 6 or 7 years he's going to be a dude and we're going to want him. Or he doesn't pan out and we just never we never send him as an LI. So I can see both sides of the coin. It's a lot of the boys on my team are a little disappointed by it because they were excited for this summer at 15U to show what they could do. There's just not a whole lot of coaches interested in the 2026 class. At least they weren't last summer. They were more on 25s because they knew they were going to be able to talk to them come August 1st of that junior year. So I think this is a big summer. I think 16U summer for these kids that are Division I guys, that are Power 5 mid-major guys. this could be a big summer for them. But 17U summer is always going to be the biggest summer because kids pop late. Sometimes they just haven't made a decision yet. Sometimes they change their mind. So I really don't think it's going to affect them negatively in the long run at all. I think it's good for the sport. It's good for the kids more than anything.
I got a couple questions. One, just for those watching and listening, is this all three levels of NCAA? Is this junior college? Is this NAIA? What are the restrictions for what levels? Just D1?
I know for sure Division One. I know very, very few Division Two and below schools are trying to talk to freshmen and sophomores, just because it's too early in the recruiting game for them. I'm not positive that may be an entire NCAA mandate,
I think it
but
is.
I know for sure it's at that Division One level. I'm sure we could look it up and find out for sure.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask that is because there's so many different things. You go to a junior college level, they have different requirements. You might see 50 kids in a fall, but they work your tails off, and you work a lot more than maybe a Division two school, NCAA D2 or D3. And so what I would suggest is obviously to the parents is go do your homework, or mostly the kids go do their homework and see, where do you think that you fit. What's realistic, what's your high side, and then start researching, some of the compliance stuff. Hopefully your athletic director might have some information, or Misha if you can't find it, but the NCAA is easy to Google and find. So the second piece I have to ask, just for this is a personal, I guess, opinion I'm asking here. How do you feel about freshmen committing or eighth graders committing to schools? Which some of this really doesn't necessarily matter, because like you said, they can change their mind, the coaches can change their minds, staff can change it. Do you think do you like it?
I was kind of against it at first until I went through it with Nolan in Missouri. It was just one of those deals where we had a good conversation, and I said, is this a dream school? Is this number one on your list? Is this a staff you feel comfortable with? And I just started to think, it's a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. And just having that commitment early on, like it or not, it increases your credibility. It increases your quote unquote clout on Twitter, social media. If Nolan goes to a PG event, he's almost always the one who gets a video because he's a Missouri commit. So that part I think helps them, especially if later on they decide that's not the right fit for them. The coaches around know that they were once committed to a Power 5 SEC school, and it's going to be easier to get another offer at that level. But I mean, now all of that's moot. It doesn't matter anymore because absolutely no one can verbally commit or even talk to a school about committing until going into their junior year. So whether I liked it or not, I guess it really doesn't matter anymore.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I didn't.
To me, the interesting thing is here, and this is what I don't like about the NC2A. I think they're so arbitrary. I don't mind this rule. I think it's fine. And are there going to be pros and cons to everything? Yeah, I think so. As you said, I never considered how you put that, Dave. I thought that was interesting insight. I liked it. I understand the relationship development part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If those kids are already committed and you've put this rule in, allow them to continue that relationship building.
Couldn't agree more.
Wasn't there.
I feel they should be grandfathered in. Yep.
Yeah, there's no reason. Now, if they decommit, that's, okay, now you're subject to the new rule. But if you're committed, you stay committed and you continue. I don't think they were committed long before you changed the rule. So I just don't like that part of it. I think that's wrong to do to the kid. They were there. They were part of that process. They should be allowed to continue that. That's just my thought process.
I agree. And it's kind of funny. I had a talk with, when this was all going down, Brendan Pyle was also committed to Missouri, and his dad and I were kind of having that conversation. It's like, man, it's just kind of weird that he committed so he could form this relationship, he could build it with his coaching staff, and now that's all gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are we still committed if we can't even speak to this staff? And then the new staff changed, and then we're wondering, okay, what are we doing here? We've killed our recruiting journey as a sophomore in high school. Let's open it back up. And I think that's a big reason why Brennan did what he did and decommitted, is because he's betting on himself. He's like, I can go where I want to go, and I don't have the luxury of being an early commit and talking to the future staff anymore. So why don't I open up my options again and give myself the best shot I can to go to the school of my dreams.
There you go.
They literally have two different mindsets between Sism and Pyle. Sism it seems like he's a Mizzou guy. It doesn't matter who's there. He's going to be that's where he wants to go. Whether that's
right.
logistics or, business or whatever you want to call it. That's why I asked about the side of early commits, because like he's talked about, some of that's business. Twitter, I know that he's not making money on it, but it feels like a business move.
Sure.
And I like what he said there, and it brought up Brendan Pyle is the decommit. Here's why. And I think that's good information, because this is something that we're not aware of. And about the divisions and stuff like that is I asked that I had a young man. Is it?
Yeah. Here's what it is. So the answer is that it depends on the division level. The NC2A recently implemented the recruiting rule. Division I coaches and potential recruits before August 1st of their junior year in an effort to slow down college, blah, blah, blah. Phone calls, texts, and emails from Division II coaches can begin June 15th after the athlete's sophomore year. There are no restrictions.
So a couple months early. Okay.
Yeah. There are there are no restrictions regarding phone calls from coaches at the Division III, NAIA, or NJCAA levels. But typically they wait until the athlete's junior year. So there you go.
Right.
There you go.
That makes sense.
We have a young man that's going through that right now, wants to go to the D2 level, and he's getting nervous about the coach not responding to some of his emails. He's going to camps, and I always wonder if some of these moves are from the transfer portal decisions. Are they trying to help these younger kids out? I don't know. It's always interesting trying to follow the NCAA, and I make stuff up in my head trying to figure out the why, which is probably something I shouldn't do. I have one more question, and we can move on if that's what the next step is.
Yeah.
And I know that they have them now, but do you think they're for these D1 schools with these restrictions in place? Do you think that there's going to be more youth camps for like 7th and 8th graders than there are now, to start maybe building those? Because I am sure that there's information that coaches can see through PBR, Perfect Game, and see these young 8th graders being dudes. And so are we going to see this influx of youth camps now at the college level versus just high school camps?
That's a really good question, and not one that I had considered, but it kind of makes sense in a way. If they want to see these kids early and they want to begin to establish a relationship with them, the only way they can do it is through that camp. So I guess we'll find out when or if it happens, but now that you put that in my head, that it does sound like a really good idea on the college side.
I think that, here we go back to these, because the balance of these things, and I think it's a great question. Me personally, I look at this from this standpoint. You have youth baseball 8 to 7, 6. It's basically 9U to 14U youth baseball. 6, 7, and 8. This is all development stuff. True development. You're just trying to teach a kid to run to first base properly. 9U and on up. What are we trying to accomplish? What's the goal? I understand that these coaches want to see these kids, but, I can see a freshman camp, and I think we've got to at some point, I think, and this is where I like the rule personally, because I think at 14U, let the kids still, it's the last time, because when you enter high school, the level ramps up. It's just like, and when you get to college, these kids going into these we were talking with Coach Perkins last week, along with Scott Ewell from UMSL.
Yeah.
And the difference from your senior year of high school baseball, and Mulder says it all the time, it's a difference between boys baseball and men's college baseball. The level, everything ramps up. Let the kids enjoy that last bit. Yeah, they're still getting better. Development through 14U. 15U, as you said, this is changing that. That 15U, you're starting to prepare those kids for that next 16, 17U year to where you are setting in that. And I think it's a proper thing, personally. Let the kids mature a little bit more. Let them physically mature a little bit more. Then you're going to see, because how many of these kids drop out because at 14U, they've peaked. And then 16U, all these other kids are up above them. And it's tough. I think these are difficult situations. And in that time frame from 13 to 16U, there's so many dynamics going on with these young men that it's just like shooting craps, my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, my biggest thing, that I tell the guys, whether they're at our high school or in our program, is be a really good varsity baseball player before we want to start talking about what colleges we want to attend, where we want to go, what level we want to play. Like, show everyone that you can play varsity baseball. And I think that the goal at the youth level, 12 on up, should be to develop these boys to where they can play varsity baseball as soon as possible. That's the end all be all in high school, is varsity baseball. And you don't see anybody who's a JV star who can't play varsity go off and play college baseball at most levels. There's levels to it, right? It's like be a good 13U, 14U, AAA major ball player, right? Go to high school. Most kids are going to play freshman JV their freshman year. The ones that are better than most are going to end up playing varsity by sophomore year. Be an impact player at the varsity level, and coaches are going to want you, because at the end of the day, Mitch, myself, all these coaches at the youth and high school level, we don't determine what makes these coaches want you. They do. And all we can do is relay to these boys, hey, this is what coaches at this particular level want to see. This is who they want. This is the type of player they're recruiting. Some schools are different than others. This guy likes, players with a little more speed, and, don't worry about the bat as much. Or this guy likes a middle infielder with really good glove. And just let these boys understand, like, we don't make the rules, the coaches do. And if you want to play at that level, you have to develop into the type of player that these coaches want. And when you get that through to them and you get that through to their head, it's like, we're not the ones setting the rules at all. Like, we're just trying to help you get to where you want to go.
Those decisions are interesting. We had some kids that are now being told that at the 15, 16-year level, they're looking at him and, is he a PO? Is he a two-way guy? Because we have experiences now with Mulder, and that, he evaluates guys. And, I'm looking at a young man. Right. I have to tell him last night, it's like, man, that guy, if he could focus on pitching, is going to be a guy. And even now, as you're starting to talk about maturity, even now their kids are going, I don't see myself as a defender or a hitter in college. I can see myself as a PO. And so these are kids that are starting to realize this at this age group, because of the high school experience, because of the, what can you do for me at the varsity level kind of thing. That is the goal. That's the goal for every kid that walks in as a freshman, should be at least, right? And he's realizing, these kids are realizing, hey, wow, I might be a PO. I can hit a little bit, I can field a little bit, but my pitching is what everybody recognizes as notices. And it's like, it's right. Tough because it's so much more fun to be involved in every single game.
Sure.
And kids miss out that there's still charting involved. There's still developing IQ when you're watching games. And so it's not like you need to pitch and go home. Pitch, stay, watch, pick up the outfielders, have fun in the dugout, keep it lively. There's so much more to being a teammate than just pitching one game and sitting out for 5 days.
Absolutely. I mean, usually those gentlemen or those kids that turn out to be pitchers only by their junior, senior year. They've had the bigger arm growing up. They've been more athletic. They were probably the shortstop on their youth team. They probably batted third or fourth. They're used to playing every inning of every game. They're used to being the guy. And then they get to the high school level, and if they want to play varsity baseball, they've got to choose. I could be the starting shortstop on JV, or I could be a pitcher in the rotation on varsity. Like, ultimately, I think that should be the kid's decision. But I mean, if I'm looking ahead to my future and I'm that particular individual and I want to play college baseball, I'm probably going to take that pitcher only route. But at the end of the day, it depends on what the kid wants to do. Some kids want to play every inning of every game. Some kids want to have a really good high school baseball experience and not worry about what happens after that.
Yeah, I talked to Kevin last night, and Kevin said, why can't he be a two-way guy in high school, but a PO club ball, with those kind of mentalities, because high schools will need that. Yes. Some high schools will need that. He goes to St. Dominic, and so, he will need to be a two-way guy at St. Dominic, but he ain't going to be a two-way guy in college. I had a long conversation with him last night on the phone.
And I think that's the conversation, is as Dave said, and how realistic are we being with the kids? And I think those are the conversations that are starting to be had a little bit more. You're going to go play high school baseball, played it. We saw, a couple of Daniel Whistler, one of the top pitchers in the state. He's at Mizzou, pitching well. He got some chances as a freshman. Heck, that was a sophomore this year, I think now. Jeez.
Yeah, he's a sophomore. Yep.
Time flies. But hit very well, had a great high school experience. That's the thought process. I love that part of it. But understand, when you head to that next level, things will change.
They do.
You just have to, can you prepare, and will the athlete accept and trust what the people are telling them? And I think that goes to what you said, Dave, about developing the relationships, with the coaches, with the college coaches. And I think those are real things. That to me was an interesting point, and I'd never considered that part of it, because are you having real conversations? So now it's so important for that kid to trust the people that are around him right now at that 14, 15, 16 U level. Hey, yeah, you play at this particular high school, you're going to be the shortstop, you're going to be the center fielder, you're going to play first base, whatever, and you're going to pitch, and it's great, fantastic, understand that. But we know this is where your college level projects. Understand this.
Without question.
Right?
And I mean, take Daniel as an example. Daniel probably could have played at a level below the SEC as a two-way. Daniel probably had his choice at schools as a two-way. He wanted to play SEC baseball. And if you want to play SEC baseball, your chances of being a two-way are slim to none. You have to be beyond special. And if your dream is to play at that level, then you're going to have to do what you do absolutely best.
I mean, we're going to find that out about from Hal, the big tall kid that plays tight end for Mizzou.
Oh, Brett Norfleet.
Is he going to be a two-way guy over there? And from what I understand is, like, pitching is going to be, what I'm hearing is that pitching is going to be his thing. And I think about how far a baseball he can hit, how far he can hit a baseball, and I'm like, man, but he throws 90-something miles an hour, and so how do you help your team the most? And maybe that's where it's going to be. I think
that's going to depend on health for him. He's already had the labrum tear.
Yeah.
How healthy is his arm going to stay? What's football? He's played football, and he's getting reps as a freshman. If you watch Mizzou on Saturdays, there's Brett Norfleet on the field playing tight end for Mizzou.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be how well his body holds up more than anything as his pitching and things like that with baseball.
I do too. I mean, I think also if you're a coach and you're recruiting a kid who throws 95 and who hits 500 with 10 tanks in high school, right? That 95 is going to play at your level. You don't know that the bat is, because he's not seeing the type of arms day in and day out that you see at your level. So I think it's a lot easier to know earlier on, hey, this arm is going to pan out. This is what we need. It's easy, look at him on Rhapsody. He's got the numbers we want. unless you see that kid face 92 to 94 consistently and see him do damage, which no one in high school sees at any level consistently, you're not going to know until you give him a shot.
Yeah, and even then, it's like when you think about a guy that hits 510 tanks, like you think about the GACs in general, and who is he doing that against? Is he taking advantage of the back end of the rotation? Is he taking advantage of number 3 starters? Because that's what happened when I grew up playing. Is you didn't hit the guys that were dudes. You hit the guys that they had brought in relief. You hit the guys that were the Friday night. That's how you build your stats, was building it off the guys you were supposed to, that you were better than, because hitting's hard, and especially when you got guys like that. I always think about just the experiences of think about guys like Adam Wainwright. He's obviously every Cardinal fan loves that guy. They forget how good of an outfielder he was in high school and what he could do as an outfielder in high school. Obviously, he has 10 major league home runs as a pitcher. First at bat was a home run into big leagues, and so just think about him, like this great 200. You guys got 200 wins, under his belt, but he was a darn good outfielder. Yeah. Hunter Green was a darn good shortstop. Throws 100 miles an hour for the Cincinnati Reds. The Micah Owings of the world. Madison Bumgarner. Yeah. There was so many guys that hit very good in high school, and probably could have in college.
Well, I think that's, it's like Rick Ankiel. He didn't pan out as a pitcher, so they stuck him in the outfield. And, I mean, if you can play both ways and play at a high level, there's an opportunity if one of those don't pan out. And I think that's what we're talking about here with the Norfleet, the athleticism. He has an opportunity on both sides. And I think that's the difference because he's an elite athlete. That's elite right there. You're playing as a freshman in the SEC, shows you the the athleticism this kid has. He'll come back. There, and I think that is. Oh, you're fine. That's what's crazy about this, and I love that conversation. I want to get this one last thing from Dave, because I'm trying to cram so much stuff. Maybe we ought to save it for another time. This has been a lot of fun. Because I love this. And the challenges you have, balancing these things, Dave, as a coach in the summertime, a high school coach, and you have to balance what kids you coach as well, because there are certain high school rules that you have to deal with as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I want my high school guys to receive really good training in the off season. So obviously, I try to refer them to the guys in my facility, but I've got to be smart about not having contact with them, not doing too much with them throughout the off season, if anything, making sure that I stay within those windows where, a high school coach can work with his players on baseball activity, and just make sure that I abide by those Misha rules, which, I don't think anybody enjoys, but that's how it is. It's what we got to do.
I do think some of it's fair. Some of the things that they did put in place as far as Misha goes, I do think it's trying to create an equal kind of playing field, I guess, if you will, amongst all of the high schools. They're interesting, to say the least, because it's still, I think, opinions, and obviously, some of the experiences I've had. You got to be careful. You got to be very careful, especially when they come in and you work in your house.
Yeah, when I think of any ruling body, and it depends. And I think high school, there's not a lot of money in it, in this respect. So I think that does help the situation. They're trying to do it just for the NC2A. That's a little bit different world right there, man. There's too much money flowing there, and now you're dealing with NIL money. How's that NIL money going to affect kids in high school? And we're going to have a conversation about that. We're working towards some of those things, and hope to get you back on and talk about that. But I'm working on looking through everything with the NIL. I want to be able to talk knowledgeable about it, and I'm not quite there yet. So
I think they're getting close at the high school level as well, with being able to pay high schoolers, which is kind of scary.
Well, they did that. It is in Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri is one of the few states that, if you notice, the drink had signed, and it's of course most everything's built around football
Right.
and basketball. Those are obviously your revenue generators. And so in Missouri, if you sign within your state, your NIL money starts in your senior year. So the two kids that signed, the kid from Lee Summit, and I forget where the other kid is from. I don't know where he's from. I'm making stuff up. I thought he was local. They are getting paid right now their NIL money,
Wow.
and they are like they were big 5 stars, 4-star recruits, number 1 defensive ends, like big time recruits.
So it makes you want to stay at home.
Well, they get paid. Now, the unfortunate piece to that is the transfer portal, because they could come here, get paid now, play 1 year, and leave. So there's always the business side and the bad side, I think, of that, those decisions. Obviously, Drink was able to keep Luther Burden there, so I doubt he's going to have problems keeping these kids there. But I just think and there's only 5 states, I think, that allow high schoolers to get paid right now under the NIL, and I wonder if it's going to get into other states, because I believe that NIL is a state thing. It's not. It has some state implications. I'm not exactly sure because I don't dig into it, because you don't see it too often in baseball
Right.
for NIL money. So I try to listen to talk radio and different things on ESPN and stuff like that. About this NIL stuff. It's super interesting.
It is. It's going to change the landscape of college sports, especially football, basketball, and I think it will baseball as well. Maybe some of the other sports it might not, but it's definitely going to definitely change the landscape of the big three. I really do.
Don't forget
Without a
about track
doubt.
and field.
Track and field.
It actually generates good revenue for
I don't disagree
college.
with that. Track and field is always been a sexy sport as far as that's concerned. It is. You have the Olympics and things like that, and I do think that is one. I don't disagree. We'll see.
Crazy to think that swim or track and field will draw more revenue than baseball and softball. Looking at kind of the next step, what's Major League Baseball, but then if you think about it, what's there 290 something Division I schools or whatever that is, and there's 25 a team. There's 700 kids that are D1 athletes, and how many of those are actually going to play Major League Baseball? It's very few,
Right.
So maybe that makes the sense, but I don't know. I like going to the College World Series. It's a blast, and some of these stadiums that you go to in the summer, in a season, it's amazing to experience what it's like to go to an Alabama game or a Florida game. They will sell out, and it's cool to be in a 5,000 seats and just rocking. I think it's neat. The college experience is neat.
Well, it absolutely is, and they're doing everything they can to make it seem more and more like a pro experience. Ole Miss just built I don't know, however many $1 million baseball facility that is. If you look at the videos, it's insane. These kids are literally, sure, they're going to school, they're doing their studies, but they're full-time baseball players. They've got nutrition, they've got everything they could possibly need at their fingertips. They're being treated like royalty, and these schools know that the best way to keep these kids on campus and keep them in their programs is to treat them like they are pros.
Yeah.
Well, and you think about it. If you're drafted 10th round and below, you're better off going to an SEC school than going from high school. Unless you have Zanatello
Really good slot money in the
but that's different.
Yeah.
That's a completely different thing. But you go. How many facilities have you seen at the minor league level, an A or AA, that aren't as good as the college? They're not.
Oh no, you living in an apartment with 4 other dudes. You've got some meal money. mean, it's a like life in rookie ball. I can only imagine doesn't even pale in comparison to life in the SEC or one of those big conferences.
It's just the flights versus the bus trips. When you're going out of town, the meal money you get from the school is greater than the meal money you're getting in minor league ball. You might be able to go to the concessions or the cafeteria underneath or whatever they have, in the clubhouse and stuff like that. But and sneak a meal. But I don't know that $25 is enough for a minor leaguer to eat that's in A ball. That's just
right.
A lot of peanut butter and jelly, bro.
Well, I'm close with Justin, so I ask a lot of questions, and see how he's doing and how he's going through things, man. And sometimes he's like, man, it's a different grind than it was, and he was at SEMO, so he wasn't at a big power school, and he still had some better experiences, going to Jacksonville and eating in Florida over, trying to travel from, 2 hours.
Yeah.
For a couple of games, it's just different, and I think that's why you might be seeing some more people go to college versus going to the professional side, is because of the experiences that you might have in college. I don't know. I'm always still the one that says if you get drafted and you have an opportunity to go, you go, because you never know what's going to happen in the 2 years if you go to junior college, or 3 years if you go to 21.
Injuries can happen. Those
Right.
things. I think development. If you're getting, and today everybody knows an athlete, as far as proper nutrition, being able to keep your body in tune with as you're working. If you can't do that nutritionally, it's much more difficult to feed your body. How tired do you get? And if your body is in that condition, how much easier is it to get an injury? I'm just
Sure.
I got a belly on me, so I know exactly what that feels like every morning when I wake up. My nutrition's not good. I love my Reese's, I love my ice cream, and I love my adult beverages.
Had homemade ice cream this weekend. I did. I made some. I smoked
good.
ribs, and it was my birthday.
Oh, well, happy belated birthday.
happy birthday.
I didn't see that on Facebook, so
That's
how I know
okay.
everybody's birthday.
I just spoiled myself. I smoked ribs and made homemade ice cream, and it was really
did your
good.
mother make you some fudge?
No.
That you could pass along?
No, I asked her for potato salad,
Oh,
and it was really good.
I don't do the potato salad, so if you're watching the show, fudge is welcomed. His mother makes some fantastic fudge. It all started during Christmas time. I got some fudge, and then somewhere around April, I asked for some more. It's delicious, Dave. Take my word for it. I like to eat.
That sounds really good.
Now
Christmas is
Dave's
right
gonna go.
around the
Hey,
corner.
where's mine?
Yeah, well, you gotta just make Mama French laugh, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. Oh, she's probably watching. She likes the show. She does. I appreciate it.
That's
My
awesome.
mother likes the show. So
I think it's
there you
cool.
go.
I think it's cool.
And she's not watching. I think she likes you better than me.
Well, I bring the fans to the show. That's what I do.
Absolutely.
Nobody likes to watch a one hitter. Let's just be honest. No offense, Dave. I love good pitching as a coach, but as a player,
Hey,
I
man,
love swinging
get
it.
Oh, so
I
let's
get
do
it.
this. Let's do this while we're here. Who you got in the world? Who you got in the MLB playoffs? Who you got? Who's going to the World Series
man.
first?
I like the Braves.
Yeah.
They're plus 310.
I like the Braves. I think they're going to be tough. Although my dark horse is the Phillies. I mean, got a pretty good 1-2 with Wheeler and Nola. And I mean that offense can click. You never know.
Yeah.
On the AL side, everyone's going to hate this, but I got the Astros.
Oh, I know. Isn't that terrible? I agree with you.
I just love how
I
they
don't dig
lived in Texas. The Rangers were in first for how many days, and the
100
Astros went in at the end.
It was like 159 days.
Horrible. You can't win the last day to get to clinch. I know. They don't deserve it.
Hey, at least the Cubbies didn't get in. That was
Yeah.
a fun little race at the end, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. I agree.
I was a darn Marlins fan for a week.
That's fair.
Who you got, bro?
I'm on the same.
Bandwagon?
It's hard. I root for like Zach Gallen in Arizona. I wanted that to be a thing. But Texas for me, I like what they did, and I like Bruce Bochy. So as a manager, so I feel like he can coach in the playoffs. But it's hard to meet the energy of the Braves and the Braves fans.
Oh yeah.
I think they're playing at home. It's going to be tough to beat. The Cinderella story that's in Baltimore. There's some storylines.
They lost Bautista though.
I get it, and it's
Yeah.
and it could be
not as good either.
it could be a big deal.
I think it is. I think that ended Baltimore's run.
That's
personally.
fair. That's fair. Just I like the Cinderella of it.
Yeah.
It went from 100 losses to 100 wins. And
I love the logo, man. It's beautiful.
You cannot
I
go wrong with Baltimore's logo.
That's a young team too.
Yeah.
A lot of inexperience. It'd be cool to see if they could make a run.
Yeah.
Does Skip help Miami win a game?
I think good.
I think Skip's underrated as a coach. You may have saw
Well, I
that
think we're all sitting here, Cardinal fans, wishing Skip was our manager.
I actually like Ali. I'm not gonna lie. I do think that his dugout's weak though, and his assistant hitting, like his hitting coaches and pitching coaches.
Well, going into the season, there were serious question marks in the rotation. Obviously, even on offense, like you didn't give him a whole lot to work with, and I mean you kind of set him up to fail. I had him finishing third or fourth before the season even started.
Unless the Cardinals change themselves organizationally in the top, in the management, they're going to continue to go this way. They have no identity. They have no nothing. Mozeliak just does this. They're going to draft another really good player that they can't develop, just like the rest of those guys out there. And everybody they've sent away is developing and going and having success. It shows you that
it's hard to watch.
That organization cannot develop talent. Period.
Absolutely. A good friend of mine said if he was in the Cardinals front office, he'd reach out to the Rays about a trade and see who they want for see who they want for some of their guys, and then make sure we hold on to those dudes.
I just to debate. I don't think they have a problem developing. I think they have a problem of maintaining that development at the upper level. I think
Maybe.
Jordan Walker's a draft pick. Mason Wynn's a draft pick. Nolan Gorman's a draft pick. Tommy Edmonds there. You have a lot of guys that are good. They, for whatever reason, in the minor leagues, and I think what the change is, the Atlanta Braves, the LA Dodgers pay their young talent. They buy them out. They buy out their rookie status, and they get comfortable. And I think that might go a long ways. And if you look at the Cardinals, that you're 22 years old. When you're in the minor leagues, what are you playing for? To get to the big leagues. And then once you're in the big leagues, what are you playing for now? Not to go back down. So you're playing on a different confidence level. You're playing with a different swag when you're in A-ball to AA to AAA to big leagues. Now you're looking over your shoulder. What move are they going to make next? Because they haven't committed to you. Is that Dylan Carlson's problem? He seems like he's a mentally she struggles a little bit there. Is it because of the things like that? I always wonder about that, because how much does it show you as an organization if you want a guy? You're just going to get him for $500,000 for 7 years.
But Carlson's had money for a while now, and he's still.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good signing for sure. Like I get that piece of it too, that he got some money, but it's interesting. I everybody has their own opinions on stuff.
But you know me, bro.
I know you're a Dodgers guy.
But I have to go with you guys because I just don't think the Dodgers pitching is enough this year. You're going to have to – I love Bobby Miller. Oh, my gosh.
I'm just going to say that. He's so fun to watch.
Oh, that kid's a stud. But I don't think Sheehan, Pepio coming off the injury, I don't think they're quite there yet. And you're not going to get Buehler back. And if you did, is he going to be enough? No. I think Buehler's next year. I think the Dodgers pitching next year is going to be forget about it. But this year, the Braves are just – they're just good.
I like the electricity.
Goodness. And I just don't see the Dodgers beating the Braves. I don't. And I don't see anybody beating the Braves. I just don't.
Phillies.
Yeah. Divisional rivals there.
And I think that's interesting. You say the Phillies, they can get hot and this, and they do. But, in the end there, though, I think the whole setup there, I mean, Olsen, Acuna, Albies, to even Ozuna's having a good year again.
Yeah, Ozuna, yeah.
Right? And that pitching staff defensively, those guys just go out and play. I love the way they play. I love the enthusiasm. They're fun to watch. They are a fun baseball team to watch. And
we went to a game this summer. We were in Atlanta for the WWBA, and we went to a game, and it's a whole different environment than what you get at Busch. Like the lights are dim. People are going nuts the whole game. Didn't matter what they won. Obviously, it didn't matter what the score was. It was just a really cool environment to be in. And I don't know how, obviously, playing winning baseball would help in St. Louis, but just being in that stadium and being around that environment of a team that's that successful and that fun to watch, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, very good.
Real quick question. Do we see Trevor Bauer in an MLB uniform next year?
Man,
he did that.
No, I love that. I don't think so. I don't think so. Did you see him blow up? Did you see oh God Almighty. It was awesome. I loved every part of it.
And that's
where's he pitching?
He's in Japan. But he had like a situation with, I don't know, it was 2 outs or something like that, and runner at first, runner at third, routine ground ball hit to the shortstop, and like shortstop went home, got in a rundown, threw the ball away, run scored, threw another ball away, another run scored, something ridiculous, like stuff you see at 9 years old. They did it over there, and he absolutely lost his mind. And you don't need to understand the difference of some language barriers. He used choice words.
Right.
It couldn't have been louder. And he doubled over and did his thing. And I love the fact, like the JUCO Bandit, hit tank off him. I know it was on Hit Tracks or whatever, but I don't know. I think Trevor Bauer still has it, but who wants to take on that personality is going to be interesting.
Nobody. I don't.
I'm sorry, I would. I'd take it on. I'd love to have Trevor Bauer in our rotation.
There's the other side of that thing too, is like, if he wants to prove himself, he's already made some money. Could you get him for $5 million?
Right. Yeah.
Will MLB allow it? I know the ban's been lifted, but is MLB, I don't think behind the scenes, are they really going to be, I don't know if you should do that kind of thing, if you do, I just don't know if MLB, especially in the climate of today, I agree with you. I mean, because pitching wise, he can get it done. There's nothing wrong with that. And he is fiery and all that kind of stuff. But is anybody going to?
Ozuna's playing again.
Well, and we're going to wonder about guys like Franco because of because of the laws in those states or in that country. Like that's going to be interesting. The whole Bauer thing for me is he's just a kinky dude. So it's I
don't think there's any question there. but also, I mean, the dude's 100% guilty. I mean, I'm sorry, 100% innocent. It's been proven. So. Right. If he's 100% innocent and he didn't do anything wrong, then why wouldn't he be reinstated?
It's interesting on why he's being blackballed. And I don't know if it's because of his personality and that was everybody's way out and it was just too big and it's Bauer time.
I think the Dodgers wanted out of that contract too, and that was an easy way out.
Yes,
I
agree.
I feel like it's a Ricky Henderson on steroids kind of personality.
So, because regardless,
I liked Ricky.
You can say what you want to. You're getting into those kind of money, those teams. Those are business decisions. Yeah, because there's 100%. Been plenty of ugly personalities in baseball that have just rinsed and repeated. So,
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there's stuff that you don't get to hear about on a daily basis. Baseball seems to do a really good job of keeping that good old boy club together. I think the difference is because you don't see a lot of Major League Baseball players. They don't have. I think there's some rules against their Instagram accounts and things like that. You don't see a whole lot of Major League athletes owning themselves. You see that in football, like all the stuff that you see on Instagram and football, social media, and basketball and things like that. Major League Baseball has this really old-fashioned good old boy club that's very different than any other sport.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all, in baseball, if you're a starter, like, it's not like someone's not throwing you the ball. It's not like someone's not giving you your at-bats. It's pretty easy to be a wide receiver and be like, throw me the ball, man. So like, I understand a little bit.
It's just weird. And I've always paid attention to that because I think that's why some of these things are changing in sports is the direction that baseball has. It's not on social media. ESPN was the greatest thing for me when I woke up in the morning before school. I get to watch a little bit of the recap. Kids don't do that much anymore. They might go to YouTube and see some clips, but you have to seek that out. Like if I flipped on a TV to eat my bowl of cereal, it was on ESPN. I sat there and watched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was invested into the TV. Nowadays, it's like, well, let me go to Instagram and see what Acuna has done. Not watching Acuna game. Let me go see what he's done, and you get to see a little highlight. So they see 7,000 chains. They see all the cool drip. And they're like, I want to be that guy because Acuna can steal 70 bases and hit 40 jacks.
Right.
Never mind his work ethic.
Yeah, well, never mind the fact that you aren't that athletic.
Right, yeah. Let's not forget that.
I'm sorry.
That's where we have to start.
Don't mean to
But
be rude,
I was trying to be a little nicer for once.
Oh, so I'm the bad guy now.
Yeah. That's
right.
why the fans like me, remember?
You're the nice guy.
Yeah, I'm not even close to being a nice guy.
Dave, man, thanks for coming on. We're going to get you back because I always love
We have
this.
more questions, don't we?
No, we got more questions, and that's why we're going to bring it back. But we've hit our level. We try to keep it in a time frame. Lord's
In the
over there
winter,
going.
in the winter we got to do our WG baseball primer. Tell you guys all about the squad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So always a pleasure to have Coach Wiggins on. Dave, thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure as well.
One of my favorites.
Absolutely. Folks, thanks.
Thank
If you like what we're doing, please, boom, hit that subscribe button. Right next to it is our what?
Our dinger.
Our dinger.
I'm assuming that's why you asked me, because that's what I do.
Absolutely, because you are the dude.
Yeah, I hit dingers.
That's right. He does. He hits dingers. That's going to get you notifications for all your upcoming episodes, everything we're doing. We got some great stuff coming up. We hope you enjoy. So please, thanks for tuning in. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Dave, what's some good advice for pitchers?
Throw noise. No, throw strikes.
I love it.
Sorry.
And hitters,
Hit it off the wall.
there you go. Guys, we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Throw noise. I love it.